Today's is a veteran community moment speaker, Matthew. Is it Seago? I should have answered. Seago, okay. I should have asked you beforehand, sorry. His professional work is very unique. He's a funeral director and embalmer. He is a former alcoholic who hasn't had a drink since July of 2003. Congratulations. He's also an avid yogi and registered yoga teacher, over 20 years of experience with Tai Chi and meditation. I asked for 3 words to describe him, and he kind of improvised. There's probably about 7 here. It's okay, though. We can think outside the box. Doesn't follow rules well. No, just kidding. So he described himself as kind, introverted, shy, and then so not lame. And I asked if he had a warning label, what would it be? Be careful. I get paid to make people disappear. Let's welcome Matthew Seago.
Hello there. I'm Matthew Seago, and as you heard, I am a funeral director. I'm actually licensed in Missouri and Kansas. And I'm here, we're going to talk a little bit about cremation. First off, let's take a little tangent because, yes, today is actually my sobriety birthday. 13 years ago today, this is huge because I was one of those, the alcoholics, you don't just kind of wake up and you're alcoholic. I put a lot of hard work and effort into this. And, eventually got to the point where if I didn't quit, I'd be dead. And I swear to you by that, I was more than a fifth a day, and it was something horrendous. But, I used to do silly things like this, and it was more than once, okay? This was typical behavior. The pain was real. The reason I'm sharing this because I know there's people out here in this crowd that are suffering. I know there's people out here in this crowd that know people that are suffering. And the reason I'm sharing this is I recovered. Thank you. Basically, I manage a local crematory. I have one helper, and we provide only cremations. I don't dress up. I don't meet with families. No more hearses, none of that. All we do is cremations. So if you come up to me and say, hey, I want to get a cremation through you, sorry, you have to go through one of my client funeral homes. We do have 2 retorts, so we can do 2 cremations at the same time. And just so you know, that's because what we do, we're very good at it. This here is an example of a modern retort. The brick on the side, it looks pretty solid, but it's actually very, very brittle, very light. The flooring is concrete and very rough. And underneath here, I showed a picture. It's 2 separate pictures, but underneath it's hollow. The actual burner would be up here, and it would be over the torso area. And then there's a secondary burner located in the back here. You can't see it, but think of like a jet engine. The primary burner is the one that does the cremation. The secondary burner actually regulates the temperature of the machine, and it also burns all the evaporated smoke and gases from the cremation. So all the gases and smoke would go back through this hole. They would go down underneath the machine and go through a U-turn, and then they would go up and out the chimney. It's a process, and the whole reason behind this is you don't want something from like Schindler's List, black smoke and ash raining down from the sky. Most of the cremations, the temperature is between 1650 and 2000 degrees Fahrenheit. I've seen it get as hot as 2500, and it's kind of scary when that happens. But each one is unique, and you never can really be fully prepared for what you're going to encounter. And generally people come up to me and they'll say, how long does it take to cremate somebody? Well, there's a lot of variables. How big are they? How hot was the machine? Generally it's 100 pounds an hour. That's what I tell people. When the cremation is said and done, of course you're going to get cremains, and all this is, cremains are bone and mineral. That's it. All the tissues and everything, they evaporate away. This here is, I think it's a cat. It's some sort of animal cremains. But in the case of humans, same thing, only more of and bigger pieces. So how do we get that down to the ash that you're probably more familiar with? Well, they have these processors, essentially they're just blenders. You take your cremated remains and you run them through a blender cycle, and you refine it down into the ash that you're probably more commonly familiar with. What can go into the retort? Any type of implants and anything like that is okay. The problem arises though with batteries, pacemakers, pain pumps, things like that. They have to be removed because what happens, here you go, James, they'll explode like popcorn. Exactly. It might be a small hand grenade. Again, the side of those machines is very brittle and delicate, and a small explosion or even a firecracker could damage that and do thousands of dollars worth of damage. Another thing is bullets. Yes, this has happened to me. Yes, it does exist, and yes, crematory technicians have died from this. Essentially what will happen is someone will commit suicide and they'll have a pocket full of ammo. People weren't vigilant, and then they went into the crematory and things got nasty. Another example would be there's a visitation. People come in, he's a hunter, a gangster, whatever. The homies are putting a little bullet in his pocket, you know, Godspeed, man, whatever. Stupid idea, but we have to be vigilant, and of course those things go away. Any of the metals that are left over, titanium, hips, high-grade steel, all that, nothing is thrown away. Everything is recycled. We have a bin very similar to this, and when it's about full, I just send it off to the recycling plant, and they send us a nice fat check. Of course, we take all the proceeds and we donate it to Wayside Waves just because it's a good juju sort of thing. Once the cremation occurs, you can actually be buried. You can be placed in a mausoleum, a columbarium, a niche. A lot of people opt for their typical urns, which is cool. You know, you can be set on the mantle for a while, and after a generation or two, you'll end up in the back of someone's closet. So that's why a lot of people go with the scattering option. But what else is there? There's a company called Life Gem. They can take and separate the carbon out of cremains and actually make real diamonds. Yes, these are real diamonds, and they are from the essence of real living people. There's also memorial jewelry, cremation jewelry. It's hollow. You can put a pinch or two of cremains in there and wear it, and I get it. Both of these are very personal. You know, I don't recommend them though, because what happens if it's lost or stolen? It's gone for good. The one I was always hip to were the thumbies. You can take a print off somebody and they can make a charm or a pendant out of it. And if that's of course lost or stolen, they can make more. So it's replaceable. Other things, you could take ash, mix it with water, make tattoo ink. It's not my sort of thing, but hey, you know, someone in here might be hip to it. Records, these globes, I always thought these globes were classy. If you see the inside here, it's all dusty and cloudy. That's actually cremains. So they take molten glass, some cremation dust, add some coloring swirls, and then they put it on this light source so it actually glows. It's actually pretty neat looking. My personal favorite though is the fish habitats. You take some cremains, add a little bit of concrete, put them in these neat little shapes, and you've got yourself a fish house. And you could place these all along the coastline and shoot. After 10,000 years, you could have a thriving coral reef. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeehaw, okay, here we go. It's that time of year again. Another way of scattering is, believe it or not, some people can have their cremains put inside of shotgun shells. Not my thing, but people do it. More common, and I guarantee you 100%, this is going to be going on tomorrow, that they put cremains in fireworks as a way of scattering. So, you know, big celebration, poof. Go out with a bang, why not? And finally, I want to talk about alkaline hydrolysis. It's also known as resumation. Some people call it a green cremation or a flameless cremation. It's not a cremation at all. What it is you take a body, you place it inside of basically a stainless steel pressure cooker, if you will. You add lye, water, heat, maybe a little bit of motion, and basically you do 100 years of decomposition in a few hours. So basically you're going to be left with skeletal cremains and a ooze, which used to be the tissues. And then all that liquid ooze goes down the drain. The bones are then taken out and you process just like you would the regular cremation bones. I'm not joking. This is real. This is legal in Missouri. It is legal in Kansas. There's a few reasons why we don't see this right now. One is a lot of people aren't hip to being poured down the drain. 2 is it's very expensive. And 3, the solution that's used is it's basic. It's pH of 14. So when you're pouring that down the drain, you risk, the sewer system and all that. So the EPA, they're all kind of red tape. But this is coming. You will see this. Now, with that being said, you have a choice. Would you rather go up in smoke or down the drain? Thank you.